Hi everyone. In this lecture we will see what tokens in Python are. So tokens, like what essentially the concept of token means and what are different types of tokens in Python. So let's start. So firstly, what are tokens? Tokens are the smallest individual units in any Python program. They are the smallest unit. See, one Python program will have lots and lots of sentences, lots of words. So the smallest unit I can break any Python program into is a token. So just like a sentence is made up of words, a Python program is made up of tokens. So for example, if I write this particular line in Python, like total equal to 10 plus 5, right? It contains like different types of tokens. Okay, this is not just a single token in Python. There are actually 5 tokens in this single line of Python, and a particular Python program can have hundreds of such lines. Okay, so one particular Python program can be broken into lots and lots of tokens. At the end of this lecture, we will try to see like what different types of tokens are in this particular line. But just like in English language, a particular sentence is made up of words, in Python, a program is made up of tokens. Okay. So there are 5 different types of tokens present in Python programming language. Python classifies tokens into 5 major types. First is keywords. Keywords have they are the reserved words with a special meaning. So we will see this. Keywords are reserved, they are fixed, and they have a special meaning and they cannot be used as anything else. Okay. Next is identifiers. Identifiers are the names that are used for variables, functions, classes, etc. Any type of name that we are giving in a program is an identifier. So if we are giving a name to a variable or a function or a class, any type of name that we are writing that the compiler did not know before. So let us say I create a variable called A, ABC, anything. Any name which I am giving is an identifier. Next is literals. Literals are the fixed values like numbers, strings, etc. So any fixed value that we write in a Python program is called a literal. So if I write A equal to 10, then that 10 is a literal. So any fixed value that we write, it can be a number, a string, a collection, any type of value that we are giving to a variable or anything that we are writing, any value that we are writing is called a literal. Next is operators. Operators are the symbols that are used to perform operations. Now we generally write a Python program to do some complex operations, right? Like addition, subtraction. We can do any type of mathematical operation or different type of operations. We will see. So an operator is a symbol that is used to define what type of operation you want to do. And the last is delimiter. Delimiter are just blank spaces. For example, if I add a space or a new line character, so all these kind of spaces like are called delimiters. So any Python program will be composed of these 5 things. Okay. So symbols that separate statements or group code are called delimiters. So now let's see one by one like what all these 5 are. First one is keywords. So these are predefined reserved words in Python that like Python uses for its syntax. So Python programming language for its syntax, for its understanding, uses these 35 keywords which are mentioned here. There are 35 keywords in Python programming language and all of these are predefined. It means that they are predefined for any compiler. A Python compiler understands the meaning of these 35 words. You don't have to tell the compiler what these 35 words mean. Okay, compiler whenever sees one of these 35 words, it will know what it has to do. So they have a predefined meaning and they cannot be used for something else. You should not change the meaning of these 35 words. You cannot do that, okay? So they have a specific meaning. For example, false and true, they are Boolean values. None means something. None means like a data type which has nothing. We will see all these 35 keywords in some way or the other in the coming lectures. Okay, so by the time we are done with the entire Python programming series, we will see all these 35 keywords. Right now, you won't be able to understand the meaning of all of them, but in some lecture or the other, every one of them will come. For example, in functions lecture, you will see def. In the class lecture, you will see class, object-oriented programming lecture. In the like loops lecture, we will see continue, break, for, all of them. So in one way or the other, in the coming lectures, we are going to see all these 35 keywords. Okay, but remember that these are the fixed 35 keywords which have a meaning in Python programming language. Now you can list all these Python keywords using a Python program as well. In the program itself, you can use a command and you can list all the keywords which are there for your compiler. So there is a library called keyword. If you import the keyword library, inside the keyword library, there is a list called KW list or keyword list. So if you just print keyword.kwlist, it will print all the keywords present for that particular Python program. Okay, so these 35 keywords will be printed. In the demo we will try to run and see like what the result comes out as. So like if you just run these two lines of code, you can actually on the output see the 35 keywords which are present for the Python programming language. Okay, you don't need to remember all of them. Again, like as the lecture series progresses, you will anyway know what the keywords are. We will keep on discussing like this is a keyword, this is a keyword, and so on. Okay, so these are the keywords in Python programming language. Now next are Python identifiers. So what are identifiers? Identifiers are the names you assign to a variable, function, classes, etc. So for anything, if you are assigning a name, to a variable or a function or a class or an object, so any name which you are giving in a Python program is called an identifier. Okay, so and there are certain rules that we need to follow when you are creating an identifier. These are the set of rules which any Python identifier should follow. First is, a Python identifier can only contain letters, digits, and underscore, and no other special character is allowed as an identifier. So only the letters, which means small a to small z, capital A to capital Z, like 26 characters here, 26 characters here, small a, small and capital. Then there are 10 digits 0 to 9 and a particular character underscore. Only these are allowed in an identifier. No other special character is allowed. For example, you cannot use the dollar sign. You cannot name a variable as like num$1. This symbol is not allowed. Even space is not allowed. You cannot have num space 1. No other symbol is allowed. Only characters, digits, and underscore. So you can have something like num_1. This is allowed. Okay. They cannot start with a digit. So this is not allowed. This is not allowed. This is allowed. So you cannot have an identifier or name of a variable starting with a digit. So you cannot name like this, one num. Digits can be present, but they cannot be present as the starting character. It should only start with a character or an underscore. Okay? You cannot start a variable name or any identifier with a digit. Third is, it cannot be a keyword. You cannot have a keyword as an identifier. So we had 35 keywords, right? For example, true was a keyword. This one. And if was also a keyword. So these cannot be used as identifiers because they have a special meaning. Compiler already knows what to do with them. So you cannot name a variable using these keywords. So these 35 keywords cannot be used as identifiers. Okay. Next is, they are case sensitive. Python is a case sensitive programming language. It means that uppercase and lowercase are different. So if this is a keyword, true, then this is not a keyword. This can be used as an identifier. So they are case sensitive. Like this true is different from this true. And similarly, if you name a variable as ABC and name another variable as ABC, these two are different. So be mindful. If you are naming a variable like this will be a different variable. Okay. And you cannot use a keyword anyway, but you can use other case, like you can use if like this, right? That is allowed. But generally don't try to do that because like it might be misleading for other programmers, right? But generally speaking, any identifier is case sensitive. Every word is case sensitive. So if you have written in lowercase or like any particular character is capital, you have to use the exact same case, because if you make a character small to big or big to small, that will change the identifier completely. Okay, they are case sensitive. So these are the 4 rules you need to follow. Only contain letters, digit, and underscore. You cannot start with a digit, and it cannot be a keyword. Okay. Now there are some other rules as well, but they are not very strict rules. They are just for your convenience. Okay, if you follow them, they are good. So next is length. There is no strict limit on the length of an identifier. You can have an identifier of any length in Python. Okay, you can have many like 100 character long identifier also, that is allowed. But generally speaking, we don't write very big identifiers because that will just confuse the programmers. Like, what is this very big variable? You will not understand. So don't have very big identifiers and also don't have very small identifiers. For example, like don't have identifiers like A, B, C, I, because you will not be able to understand what it does. So when you're naming a variable, like use meaningful names like roll number. If you're storing a roll number, use a variable called roll number, or even roll number like this, so that they are meaningful and you are able to understand. Don't use very big and don't use very small. It is not a rule, but this is something you should follow. Okay. Next is Unicode characters. There are certain characters which are allowed in identifiers which are outside of ASCII. We will not need them. Forget about this. You can include some Unicode characters outside the ASCII range in identifier as well, but again, it is not suggested to do that. Third is underscore usage. Now I told you that any identifier cannot start with a digit, but an identifier can start with an underscore. Underscore, say you can start an identifier, like you can create a variable called underscore number, underscore num. This is allowed. But generally speaking, we don't do that, because any variable or any identifier starting with an underscore has a special meaning. Generally, like again, it is not a rule. You can have a variable or an identifier starting with underscore, but if you're starting with one underscore or two underscores, these particular variables are generally used for a special use case. So what are the use case? Single leading underscore, or if any identifier is starting with a single underscore like this. For example, underscore variable. They are often indicate internal use. If you want to create a variable for internal usage, then you name a variable as starting with a single leading underscore. So these type of variables are used for internal usage. Okay, so generally we don't create them. So if you are importing a library, there in a particular class, there might be some variables which are starting with a single underscore, because they are used for internal usage inside that class or inside that library. That is not for your usage. So inside your program, if you are creating a variable like this, if someone else looks at your program, they might think that you have created a variable for internal usage, but you might not have, right? Again, it is not a strict rule, but generally the programming community follows this, and they only name a variables starting with underscore if they are used for internal usage. And similarly, double leading underscore, if you have two underscores before a variable name like this, underscore num or underscore variable, then they are used for class specific attributes. They are used for variables which are hardly tied to a class. So if you want to create a variable like this, we will see in object-oriented programming. Right now you won't be able to understand that. But to give you a short introduction, if you're creating a class and if you want to create some variables which are only used in that particular class specific attributes, then we create variables using two underscores. Again, not a strict rule. You can create any identifier using two underscores, but this is just a thing that programming community follows, so you should follow that. Okay. So these are some rules which are there while naming identifiers. So let's see some examples. First is like myvar. Is it a correct identifier? It only contains characters, and this is allowed. Everything is allowed here. Then total underscore sum. Underscore is allowed in an identifier. Everything is correct here. Data 1, 2, 3. Characters and numbers are allowed. Digits are allowed. This is also a valid identifier. Hidden. Hidden is actually hidden actually looks like a keyword, right? But hidden is not a keyword. Hidden is not among the 35 keywords. Okay, hidden can be used. Hidden is a valid identifier again. Okay, it is not among the 35 keywords. Although it looks like hidden must be a keyword, but it is not. Hidden is valid. Next we have 1, 2, 3 num. It is not allowed because you cannot start an identifier with a digit. That is not allowed. Okay, this is not allowed. Then my hyphen var. So hyphen symbol is not allowed in an identifier, right? Only digits, characters and underscore are allowed. Hyphen is not allowed. Then class. Class is not allowed because class is a keyword. Class is one of the 35 keywords. So class is not a valid identifier. So the reason is mentioned here. This one starts with a digit. In this one, hyphen is not allowed, and in this one, class is a keyword. So it is not a valid identifier. So these are some of the examples of Python identifiers. Okay, next we have literals. So literals are the constant values that we assign to variables. We can assign different type of values. For example, numeric values, an integer, a floating point number, a binary number. So this is something special. Let's see this. I can assign a value like this, a is equal to 10. So then 10 becomes a constant or a literal, right? So it is a numeric literal. And similarly, we can assign 3.14 also. And we can assign a binary number also. If we start a number with 0b, automatically everything after it will be considered as a binary number. So you can write like, let's say 1010. Then this binary number is assigned to the variable. So automatically it will be converted to integer and that particular value will be assigned. Okay. So what is the decimal value of this number? It's 8 plus 2, 10. So 10 will be assigned to A. So you can write constants or literals in binary also. And you can write them in hexadecimal also. So you can write them in hexadecimal like this, 0xA1, right? Then whatever the the equivalent number is, that will be assigned to this variable. So the equivalent number will become 1 plus 16 into what is the representation of A? So 9, 10, okay, 10. So it will become 161, okay? Yes. So we will actually see in a separate lecture, we can record it like a separate lecture on how hexadecimal and binary numbers work. That is not specifically related to Python programming language. That's more of digital logic concept, like how binary and hexadecimal numbers work. You can check it out, how binary numbers can be converted to decimal and hexadecimal numbers can be converted to decimal and like that. So you can actually write directly hexadecimal and binary numbers as well, and they are also considered as literals, and they are actually numeric literals in Python. Next is strings. So you can write strings using single quotes in Python. A single quote string is allowed. You can write strings using double quotes, and you can write string using triple quotes also. Triple quote strings are generally used when you want to use multi-line strings. See, what happens is, when you are writing a string like this, let's say ABC, and then you have, let's say in the next new line you have DEF. In a single string, if you have a new line character or you have an enter, like basically you want this to be a single string, ABC and the new line character and then DEF, then you cannot do it using single quotes or double quotes. This is not allowed. Then you have to use triple quotes. So you can embed this entire thing in triple quotes, and then this will become an entire string. This string contains A, B, C and the new line and then D, E, F. Okay. So you can create strings using single quotes, double quotes or using triple quotes. Okay. All of these are string literals. Then true and false are Boolean literals. Okay. They have specific meaning. They are keywords and they are Boolean keywords. Okay. And they are called Boolean literals. And none is a special literal. None means nothing. You can actually assign nothing to a variable. The equivalent of this in C++ is null. None is specifically written to a variable if you want to say that this variable contains nothing. Okay. So you can actually assign none to a variable, and it signifies that it will not take any space, and it just signifies that this particular variable contains nothing. Okay. Going forward in the coming lectures, we will see the beauty of it, like when to assign none, when not to assign none. But none is a literal. Okay. Then you can assign the entire collections also. You can assign an entire list or a tuple or a set or a dictionary. They are all collections in Python. Okay. So you can, we will see in detail in data types. In the data types lecture, you will see what all these are. You can create list using square brackets. You can create tuples using round brackets. You can create sets using curly brackets and also dictionary using curly brackets. So in data types, it will be clear, and you can actually assign entire list or sets to a variable, and they are all called collections. So they are called collection literals. Okay. So they are all Python literals. Next are operators. So the next lecture will be a detailed lecture on operator. Operator is a very important concept in any programming language, and operators are generally used to perform complex operations. You can perform any kind of operation. For example, you can have very large line like 3 plus 2 XOR 5 and 7, and then you might have some brackets and so on, and you can assign it to a variable. So if you want to do very any kind of operation, you can use operator. These are all called operators: plus, or, and, minus, divide, floor division. They are all called operators. The next lecture is dedicated specifically for operators, but operators are also tokens. So we are just discussing briefly what operators are. Operators perform operations on variables and values. There are different kinds of operators in Python: arithmetic, relational, logical, assignment, membership, identity, bitwise. We will discuss all of this in detail in the next lecture. And there is something also called as operator precedence. If you are writing a line like this, so in what order the operations will perform. In maths, you might have heard of board mass, right? It's kind of operator precedence is kind of like that. ki what should happen, like if you have written a complex line, a very large line, what will happen, and then like the final result will be what. So we will see operators and operator precedence in the next lecture. Okay. So operators are also tokens in Python, and then we have delimiters, okay, or separators. They just separate different parts of program from one another. Round brackets are parentheses, and they are used in functions. In functions, we will see whenever we define a function, we can write round brackets, and inside here we can write arguments. So to separate all the arguments inside a function, we can use round brackets. So they are called delimiters. Or whenever you write a space, just for beautification, or sometimes it might be necessary also, right? Space is also a delimiter. They are all called separators. They are just for readability, or they might have some specific meaning also. But generally they are used to separate code into logical parts. Okay, so round brackets is used for like functions, and then square brackets is used for indexing, and then in list also. So both of them we will see in list. Then curly brackets are used for defining dictionaries and sets. And actually curly brackets have a special meaning in C++. Don't get confused. In C++ you write everything inside curly brackets. In Python there is no such notation. In Python curly brackets are not used to define functions or a logical group of code. No. In Python everything is based on indentation. Okay, in the demo I will try to explain you what indentation means and what this differentiation is. Okay, in Python the curly brackets are only used to define dictionaries and sets. Then colon is also a separator. Colon is used inside dictionaries and also used in blocks. Then comma is also a separator. Let's say you want to define two variables A and B and want to assign two values 2 and 3 to it. Then comma can be used here. Okay, so comma is used to separate items. Also when you are defining list and sets, you use comma to separate the elements in a list. Okay, so comma is a separator. Then dot is a separator. So when you create class and you create an object of it and you want to access a particular member of that object, we will use dot. So all of these we will see in detail in the coming lectures, like usage of all of these, like operators and like identifiers, literals. In this lecture we are just seeing briefly from the top like what different type of tokens are. Then assignment is also a delimiter. Okay, it's an like if you want to assign a value, then equal to sign is actually a operator. It's actually a separator. Okay, semicolon is actually optional in Python programming language. You might actually never use semicolon in Python at all. In C programming language, you always have to end every statement with a semicolon. Okay, so semicolon becomes a delimiter there. But in Python programming language, again, semicolons are optional. You can write it. Python programming language will ignore it and it is not needed. You can even avoid writing semicolons also. Okay, but if you write it, it doesn't matter. You can write any number of semicolons you want. It is like, you just want to separate different statements, you can use semicolons in Python. Then line continuation or backslash. Okay. So if you want to write a single line in multiple lines, like this, let's say you're trying to write A is equal to 3 plus, then you want to write you want to write a very big line, let's say 7 plus 6, then minus and something, but you don't have enough space. You can use a line continuation character here and then you can write minus 3 plus 7 like this. Okay, so this means ki whatever is written in the next line is a part of this line only. So this is also a separator. If you want to write a single piece of logic in multiple lines, you can use the line continuation delimiter. Then multi-line strings are also a type of delimiter. They are sometimes they are considered as delimiter only. All of these are delimiters with their usage in Python. Okay, so we saw different types of tokens, all different types of tokens. Let us see a demo on some of these. Let us try to print the keywords and see a demo on these tokens in Python. Okay, and before going to the demo, we can now answer one question. In the first slide we saw an example here. So there are 5 tokens here, right? We can actually say now that this one is an identifier. Right? Do you know why? Because identifier are the names of variables that we create. This was a name to a variable that we created, total. So it is an identifier. Equal to is an assignment operator. It is an assignment operator, and sometimes it is called a delimiter also. It is considered both. So it is an assignment operator. We will see in operators in detail. This is what? This is a constant or a value, right? As it is a value. So it is a literal. All the constant or values are called literals. So they are both literals. And this is again an operator. It is used for performing an arithmetic operation like addition. So it is called an arithmetic operator. So now we can actually identify in this example what different kinds of tokens were present. There are total 5 tokens present in this statement. Okay, let's move to the demo.
Okay, now let's see a quick demo on tokens in Python now. Firstly, we will see keywords. So I told you, right, like we can actually print all the keywords which are there in Python using a Python script as well. For that, we just need to import the keyword library. So if I import that, now I can print all the keywords using keyword.kw list. There are various functions, right? Keyword is soft keyword list and soft keyword list. So if I just print keyword.keyword list, it will give me all the keywords that are present in this Python interpreter. So these are all the keywords. Okay, this is about the keywords, and now let's look at identifiers. We know that there are certain rules in which you can name an identifier or name a variable. Okay, so how to assign a value to a variable, that we will see later, but for now, just for a demo, I'm showing you like what can be a variable name and what cannot be. So we took certain examples, right? Like let's say if I write a variable named myvar, is this allowed? Let's see, this is allowed, right? We can actually do that because this is correct, like all the rules are satisfied. Now if I want to create a variable called total sum, I can do that. This is again from the slides. Okay, now can I create a variable called data123? Yes, I can do that because it also contains alphanumeric characters and it is not starting with a digit. And now hidden, can I create a variable called hidden? Yes, I can do that because hidden is not a keyword. Now let us use a keyword from this list. If I use a keyword, let's say await, it will give me an error because await was a keyword. I cannot use any of these keywords to create a identifier or to create a variable. Even like even you cannot start a keyword with a digit, right? 123 num 123 num. This is not allowed because like this is not how you can create an identifier. So like be mindful, always create variables or identifiers with certain rules. We know all the rules, and in the demo I just showed you like what is allowed and what not. And also special characters are not allowed. So if I write hyphen, this is also not allowed. Okay, you need to follow all the rules which are there in identifier, and that only will work. Okay, so this is all about the demo on tokens in Python. Thanks.